And we're live!
Yay! Welcome, everybody.
Oh gosh, I'm so excited for this, for Vicki. Vicki is my third mom. She is who changed my life. I've watched her change thousands of people's lives. She's written, I don't even know how many books. There's more than 10 books out there that this woman has written. So hello, everyone.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to day 2.
Yes, we have Vicki Hannah Lein with us. Vicki has toured the world teaching people how to live their best life, see who you are meant to be, helping teachers to teach in different ways. I mean, she's just, you name it, she can do it, she's done it. I'm just blown away at the courage that Vicki has. I can call her on a bad day and she's like, yeah, well, you know, I did that blind and I did it like, I've got this covered. I can't say enough about how much I love Vicki and her credentials. I would love, Vicki, for you to say a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes about who you are, some of the work you've done, and just give us a little cap on what this audience can expect today from our challenge.
Alrighty then. Well, I'm working on a one-woman show, and that it's called Where the Rubber Chicken Meets the Toad Less Traveled. And it's a combination of stories and songs, and it's about the journey. So I was born into a family of alcoholism, and there was a blindness gene in there that I didn't find out about until later, and depression and mental illness and violence and all of that. So how did I get from there? How does anybody get from, when we're born into a family, we're a character born into a family. So how do we move from being the character born into a family to becoming the author of our lives? And that's what I'm really interested in. And so that's what I have to talk, because I did end up, my mom and my sister both dropped out of high school. Nobody in the family voted. There were no books in my house. And I ended up getting a master's degree in counseling and being invited to travel all over the world with my puppets and my cane and my songs, doing what only I do. So, you know, how can I help people learn how to do that in their own lives? And that was the first question I asked you when you wandered into my human potential class at college, when I said, what would you do if you could do anything? If you didn't have to worry about being too broken, too stupid, too old, too young, too unworthy, whatever the two that's in the way, if you just set it aside and let yourself dream. And you saw what happened in that class, Sarah. It just came alive.
Yes.
It's just magic.
Yeah. It just thinking into it, I can go back over and over and feel what it is, what's possible for you when you don't have anything in your way. And that is what you help people to actualize in their life. You have so many different quotes and homework and songs that really help us break out of our subconscious and our habitual habits to activate our highest potential. Something that Vicki says frequently is actually, this is a good thing, like telling your brain that when you're facing something, isn't that great?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all
So great.
so good. That it just, it changes our brain. And I don't think she's boasting herself enough about the work that she's done. I want to add, she was a teacher. She has her MS in counseling. And during her transition to becoming blind, she still stepped out and got on a train and went to India by herself blind. So if you guys are watching and you're like, oh, I can't travel, or for this reason or that, or I'm too scared for whatever it might be, this woman did essentially, can I just say it all? Can I put it out? I'm going to put it all out there. She did divorce going blind. She did traveling around the world teaching people going blind. Like, this is in the middle of what would be the scariest thing to any human in the world. And she took it on fiercely. And is she shows with the success she's living in now and the thousands of people that she has touched. I mean, I've already did a little thing on our Facebook, Google her name, and there's just endless amounts of video work and workshops and books that she has produced. So there's nothing holding you back. And I think, Vicki, that's my favorite thing about you, is that you just give us all permission to let go of whatever we have been telling ourselves and own what is possible.
Well, I do help with that process, and I want to make it really clear that I didn't save Sarah. Sarah saved Sarah. Sarah was willing to accept, and that's the trick. That's what. Should we get in my 5 tips? Are we there yet?
Well, yeah, I mean, let's go right into some tips that Vicki has for everybody, to see who you're meant to be or to own your purpose. Give us lots of
All right. So number 1 is you have to do it yourself, and you can't do it alone. And that sounds like a contradiction. And one of the things when I was born into my family, into my DNA, I thought, well, because I was the only adult in the room from the time I was 8 years old, maybe earlier than that. And so I thought I had to do it all alone, which is better than feeling like somebody has to rescue you all the time. I mean, if you have to pick, you got to do it alone. And what I've learned is that we can't do it alone. And we need those 2 things. We need to be the person who takes responsibility. This is my life, and I'm going to step up, and I'm going to be present in it and take responsibility. And I'm going to reach out and accept help, which is what Sarah did. If you know Sarah at all, she was pretty, I want to say ferocious in the best kind of way. I mean, Sarah is a fighter. She's tough. She's good. And when you opened up, and whatever that magic was in that room that day, it makes me cry.
Me too.
You saw me, and I saw you, and we joined hands and said, let's see what happens. Which leads me to tip number 2. There is magic in the world, but there is no magical solution.
So good.
And so when I asked that question of what would you do if you could do anything, it opened the door to the magic that was in people. And I don't know the answer to that question for anybody. I'm interested in the answer to that question and in the exploration of that question from anybody. And what the whole chemistry of the room changed when I asked that question. And these people would come out with things like, well, I want to have a foster home for people with memory problems. And then I gave you the excitement to Google your dreams for a half an hour. So you write into the search engine of Google exactly what you want. I want a free trip to Scotland. Outrageous. Just out beyond what you deserve or what's possible, because we need to practice doing that. And people would come back the next day. There was a woman who found somebody. She had a lot of physical illnesses. I think she was getting a divorce. I can't remember. There was just a whole list of things and no money. And she found somebody in Arizona, a woman who would sell her home with no down payment.
It's amazing what you can manifest when you believe.
Yes.
I mean, it was just so exciting to be in that. So there is magic. But what I see over and over again is that people want a magical solution. If I advertise myself as, I can cure you, I see people who do this. Yeah. And everybody goes, yes, I want a cure. That's like, well, there is no cure for life. There is no cure for your life. People, I see people, I'm going to meditate and then I can prevent bad things from happening, or I'll eat organically and prevent that. No. Is it good to eat organically? Yes, it is. Is it good to eat organically? Yes, it is. Is that going to prevent life? No, it won't. Life is messy, and it's supposed to be messy, and it's messy for all of us. And that's why we need to join hands together, because and see, that's what the toad less traveled is. So the rubber chicken, of course, is sense of humor, which you see that I have, which has saved me many times. But the toad less traveled is that idea that when I went into recovery, because generations of family of alcoholism, and low expectations, college was not, nobody talked about college in my family. So when you decide to be the person in your family to go first, whatever that looks like, you're the one who goes first. You're not going to get a PhD. You're going to be a sculptor. You're going to be the one, whatever it is. The toad on the road will keep you company. I just find that funny. The Robert Frost poem, "The Road Less Traveled," is where that comes from. And I took the road less traveled, and that has made all the difference. And so to be willing to be the one who leaves the crowd, whatever the crowd is doing, that takes a lot of courage. That takes a lot of courage. So
it feels isolating and lonely, like there's something wrong with you. Both Lindsay and I's journey has meant being kind of like the black sheep of what is the cool crowd or normal, oftentimes. And it's frequent that you can come back and think something's wrong with you because you're standing out against the crowd. But one thing I love that Vicki also says, when your ego, she has a dinosaur that talks in one ear, and the magician, right, in the other ear.
Muse in the other ear.
And so when the dinosaur voice gets real mean and vicious, and it's cranked up real loud, Vicki says, well, you're doing something right. You're about to break through that next level when you're hearing a lot of that. And that's what makes me think of this process.
So tip number 3, this all works together. What I decided when I was born, when I had that role in my family, I was the middle kid. And I looked around my family and I said, I am not going to recreate this. And statistically, if you don't go into recovery, it's like putting your feet up and floating down a river. You're headed for the rapid you were born to hit. You're going to become an addict, marry an addict, try to cure it, it will be the theme of your story unless you start paddling and create your own direction. So what I decided was I was going to get a college education so I could support myself, unlike my mother, who didn't graduate from high school and felt she had to stay with my violent, abusive father. So was I going to get an education, and I was not going to recreate my family. I was going to have a family and have children, and my children would never have to go to bed at night and not be afraid that something horrible was going to happen in the middle of the night. They weren't going to have people scream and yell and be disrespectful and mean. They weren't going to have people have scenes. They would not have scenes. They would not and have emotions, for crying out loud. It's okay to get angry. It's okay to be frustrated, all those other things. But unless you've lived in a dysfunctional home where the rules are wackadoodle. So what I decided, and this was when I was about 10, that in order to become the author of my life, for the rest of my life, my mission would have to be bigger than my fear.
I love that.
And I've said that over and over to myself. Over and over, repeated that. Over and over. It's like, what's my mission? And the fear never, at least for me, the fear has never gone away. I mean, I'm much less fearful than I used to be, but I'm writing this one-woman show, and I'm going to a playwrights group tomorrow night to have them help me with it. And I am scared spitless. And of course, I'm going to do it anyway. Of course I am. Of course I am.
I want to repeat that. Just repeat and let it sink again. Let your mission be greater than your fear.
Yep. And it will keep you on the path with the toad.
Anyone watching this right now, let's open up your phones, grab a little reminder, and set that thing off to go every day, every month, every week, whatever you need it for. Let your mission be greater than your fear, because it's either like fear or love, and fear is just holding us back in so many forms.
Oh yeah.
Really
well, that leads me directly to my fourth tip, because if your mission is going to be bigger than your fear, you have to practice getting braver, a little braver every day. Because courage is a muscle, and if you don't exercise it, it will atrophy. And so when I took this on, this habit, this is one of my vows I made. I had an anxiety disorder, and I'd had it my whole life, and I didn't really even know I had an anxiety disorder, because that's the water I was swimming in. I was just afraid all the time. I just thought, and I was ashamed of it, because I knew there was something wrong with me, but I had to keep it a secret, because I was really broken. And so in order to not appear broken, I got straight A's.
Perfectionism, trying to
because that would control things. I thought I could control things if I were good enough and smart enough, and I could read everybody's mind, and I could be what anybody needed me to be at any given moment, and I could avoid a criticism.
Boy, I can
relate. Putting on masks.
It was exhausting.
Or abandoned.
And the thing is, to decide to get a little braver every day is different than deciding to be, I am a hero. It's just like whatever shape you're in right now, if you decide to run a marathon, you may need to start by walking around the block.
Yeah.
And that's valid.
Yes.
It's not nothing. You know, if you're agoraphobic, your world has gotten really small, and you go out on your front porch and you stand there for 5 minutes, that counts.
Yeah, it does. You have something you say to that a lot is that you're always practicing something.
Right.
So what are you practicing? That's what it makes me think of. We can get a little braver every day. What are you practicing?
And once you claim that space, nobody can take it away from you. So, I lost my vision, and the first time I had a chance to travel by myself was from New York City to Boston. And I traveled to New York City because somebody picked me up at the airport. And I was doing workshops. And so I thought, well, instead of flying home from New York, I'll fly to Boston because I've never been there. And again, scared spitless. And I had 3 rolling luggages at the time, which they don't let you do anymore. I had all this stuff, and I got on the wrong shuttle, and just one thing after another. But I got to that hotel in Boston. And when the shuttle opened and the concierge, the bellboy came out and said, "Welcome to Swiss Hotel Boston." I was like, "Yay!" And I went to a theater performance by myself, and I just did all these things. And once I claimed that space, no one could take that from me. I built it myself. One brave thing at a time. And I had to ask for so much help, because I was on the wrong everything. And then, somebody magical in a red coat would say, "May I help you?" And it's like, "Yes, you may." And I get to meet all these people who are just so wonderful. So the first time
you believe it to be true.
What?
You believe it to be true. I think that's very important to add. Vicki has the mentality that good people exist, and she believes it to be true that she will be helped. I mean, this is, again, people just joined. She's a blind woman who travels the world teaching people. And she just gets served everywhere she goes. And that's because she believes that it exists. And that's very important. She's open to receive it.
Well,
And
yes. And I smile a lot. Which
that's
doesn't
really
hurt.
helpful.
And I go first. I go first with friendly. So the next chance I got to travel all by myself with nobody picking me up was to go to Berlin.
Wow.
And then I thought, well, ich kann ein bisschen Deutsch. I speak a little German. All I have to do is get from the airport to the hotel. I think I can do that. So I did that. Then in Berlin, somebody overhears me at the conference and says, "Ooh, would you like to come to Africa?" And I said, for the first time ever in my life, yes, I would love to go to Africa, which was not true until that moment. And so then I went to Africa, which is not Berlin. It was the first time I'd gone to a third world country. It was Dakar, Senegal. I got there at 10 o'clock at night. I was exhausted. I had forgotten to remember the hotel I was going to.
Oh, minor details.
And so, I'm waiting. Somebody's supposed to pick me up. So I go out there and there are all these people holding up signs that I can't read, speaking in a very thick African accent, which I love, but it's kind of hard to understand, especially when you've been traveling for 36 hours or whatever. And I'm sitting there with my cane and I don't know the hotel I'm supposed to go to.
Ooh.
I know. Ooh. And then I hear this man say the name of the woman who was doing the conference, Miffy Greer. It was like, oh my God. So that made my world so much bigger. So much. But I'll tell you, the next time I went to Africa, do you think I knew the hotel I was going to? Don't like to make the same mistake twice.
Vicki always says there's an angel committee that's looking out for you, and she likes to give this analogy where our angels are all hanging out eating popcorn, and we're like, oh, that Lindsay, she hasn't quite got this yet. So, let's do this, and let's throw her in the middle of Africa blind and not let her know where her hotel is. So it helps you to find the funny faster, which is also a title of one of Vicki's books.
Yes, and it's just and a lot of that trip is in my one woman show because so many magical things happened, but I had to build up to it slowly. Well, when I first lost my vision, I was afraid to cross the street, literally afraid to cross the street. So I got help and I got a cane and I was taught how to do all of that. So it's this incremental, but you have to celebrate every step you make is your step. It's like building a house of bricks and nobody can take it away from you. You did that brave thing.
Yes.
Yours.
I like to call that the slingshot. And you took me there yesterday on the phone. You remember, Sarah, when you were that girl 10 years ago living in the meth capital of Oregon and, in such scarcity, survival, I'll never get out of this, to this woman who's teaching whatever I'm doing now. And I call that the slingshot. I've dubbed that my little made up thing, where if we put ourselves 10 years ago or 5 years ago or 1 year ago, and then go to where you are now and celebrate, like Vicki's saying, the small and big steps and achievements that you've made that really helps you get into more of a frequency to do more.
Well, and the mess, I'm going to go back to there are no magical solutions. The mess is the journey, and we learn from the mess. And it also builds our compassion, because if I'm just so perfect and everything happens because I meditate every day, and, then that leads people to say incredibly cruel things to other people who are in pain and suffering and in the mess. And people have said, oh, your blindness is such a gift, Vicki. They've known me 5 minutes, and it's like, well, you know what, I will take the burden of your 20/20 vision and you can have my gift of blindness. Okay? And my blindness is a gift. Of course it's a gift, but for somebody else to glibly say that, But we only say that when we think we've got some sort of magical solution that keeps our pretty little feet out of the mess.
Right.
And I've seen that turn into cruelty many times. So your messiness is it's where I learned what I have learned.
Yeah.
And it doesn't prevent more messiness from happening. It's just now I have more faith because I've gone through the mess more often, so that when something happens, I've got some history.
You know it's always going to work out.
Yeah.
It will, yeah. And I'm in it to learn, and I'm in it to grow, I'm in it to grow. Well, it leads me to my last tip number 5. So this may sound frivolous, so I want you to prepare. Because this, in some ways, this is so big and huge and grand and based on brain research. Everything I do is based. Turns out there's a lot of research to back it up. But when I decided in my middle 30s that instead of trying to please that perfectionist voice in me, that was going, you're not a very good teacher. And you're not a good wife, you're not a good mother, you're not a good friend, you're not a good human being. It was just on me constantly, grading me constantly. Everything I did was a grade, which was usually bad. I could not please that voice. And when I finally decided I'm not going to try to please that voice anymore. Instead, from now on, I am going to have fun every day.
I love that.
Fun, which I'm throwing this out just sort of, it's about being free. It's about being undaunted and nimble. Because when I'll tell a very short story about this, because this is how it applies in real life. When I was an elementary school counselor, I started writing songs and doing assemblies to teach the things to the kids that I wish someone had taught to me. They were very successful. I ended up winning 3 awards, and that's what got me traveling around the country and then around the world.
Wow.
So I'm doing these 500 kids, and these are kids on the wrong side of the tracks. Lots of stuff. And so there are 500 kids, about 100 teachers and assistants, and a bunch of parents at this assembly. And so this was really great. So the kids are so excited because they love the assemblies are participatory. We act things out. Parents dress up like slugs. It's fun. And they're so excited, and they won't quiet down. And so I had a signal where I'd go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And when I was down to a fist, they were supposed to be quiet. So I did the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, no effect. And so I said quietly, okay, I tried, and I'm going to try one more time. No, I said, here I go again. So I tried the second time, and still no effect. And so I said, I'm going to try one more time. And if I can't get you to be quiet, we'll end the assembly and we'll try again later. So if you can hear me, and I was cheerful and smiling, wasn't mad at anybody. And I said, if you can hear me, talk to your neighbor and take a good look, because this is it. We're going to try one more time. Okay, ready? Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No effect. And I said, okay, we'll try again later. Bye. And I walked out of the gym. And I had no idea what response I was going to get from staff, administration, parents, whatever. I just knew that, what I told them at the microphone, I said, I'm not having any fun. I'm working too hard. I don't like to work this hard. And that was just so radical. But I say that a lot. And as Sarah knows, see, Lindsay and I are just new friends who are just going to fall in love fully and totally at Odyssey in Maui. But I don't have the history with Lindsay that I do with Sarah. But I do know how to work hard. You don't write a book without knowing how to work hard. But it's knowing how to find the fun and the funny in the moment, even when you're doing hard work. So I have basically, and what happened was nobody said anything to me. Negative or positive, not a word.
Wow.
And the next time we had an assembly, I didn't have any trouble getting kids to be quiet because I had and I wasn't mad. See, part of the secret was I wasn't mad. I really, truly wasn't mad. They were just so excited about the assembly they couldn't quiet down. Bless their little hearts.
So can you go over
I will.
those tips?
Number one is you have to do it yourself, but you can't do it alone. Number two, your mission needs to be bigger than your fear. Otherwise, you'll crash and burn. As soon as your fear overwhelms your mission, you will crash and burn. And that's okay, because then all you have to do is, oops, I forgot there for a moment that my mission needs to be bigger than my fear. And then three, practice getting a little braver every day, and your world will get huge. Huge. And then practice getting a little braver. Yeah. And then the last one is have fun every day. And you can have fun every day.
You can.
Even if it's a teeny little smile of this might be funny later. All of it.
I feel like lately I've been Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Hyde, because I'll go from, I'm going through such a huge transition, and I'll go from like tears and why and sad to like, okay guys, we're gonna have a great day today. I had my 5 minutes and now let's like move forward. And I'm blessed to have a team that's like, okay, let's do that. So it is possible no matter what situation you're in. And that's what it takes, is just small steps, and you start moving into that direction. Oh, thank you. Vicki has really such a huge trunk of amazing tools and tips, and I can't wait for her to be at Odyssey this year in Maui. She has been with us almost every year with Odyssey, as we've done it in Ashland, Oregon. And I've dreamt and waited for the day that she's on stage and helping to produce this event. And this is a year. She sits on Elsa's board. If you guys don't know, this Odyssey is a retreat in Maui produced by Elsa, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. And Elsa is lucky enough to have both of these people helping to bring to you education and ways that you can help elevate yourself and the world. We've got your tips. We know who you are. I think we get a bit of why it's important to you, because you went through your struggles, and it's become a passion of yours to help people to break their own cycles, and to own their power. Why do you work so hard at that? Why have you dedicated your life to serving?
Well, that feels a little like, why do you breathe in and out every day, all day long? Well, I can't imagine when I think when we are in service, and that's different than being codependent and trying to please everybody. Let me say that immediately. But because being codependent, you're still all wrapped up in yourself, and you're kind of feeding on yourself, and it's self-defeat. It's really bad for your health. People who live with alcoholics die earlier than alcoholics from the same diseases, because all of that stress and all of that. So service is, it's when you care about yourself and you care about the world. And so you're in yourself, but you're outside of yourself at the same time. Because if you're not grounded in your own health and your own needs, then you're in fear. And if if everybody else is important and you're not important, one of the songs I wrote when I was working with the kids was, aggressive is when you care about nobody else and I only care about me. Passive's when I care about everybody else and I don't care about me. And assertive is when I care about everyone else and I care about me.
Oh, that's good. The sweet.
No, I know, it's wonderful. And it's so simple, and we don't trust simple because we're looking for magical solutions. So my tips are tied up into simple, profound things that work, that
Yeah.
you can do. I have 3 suggestions. This is homework.
All right. Oh, good. That was our next one. It's homework.
So the first one, Sarah sort of talked about that slingshot thing. One of the things that you can do is write a letter from the future to yourself. So it's, dear Vicki, you know, it's 10 years down the line. You are now 60. How old? I'm 60. You are 78 years old, and you are still just full of energy, and you're still traveling around the world, and blah, 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 blah. Because what you're doing is you're throwing a rope from the future back to yourself now that you can hold on to. And so Sarah, with, you know, what you're going through right now, to write a letter when it's all pretty much settled, and there will always be, you know, but you still, it's like, oh yes. And it doesn't avoid the mess. It just reminds you, well, it's kind of a toad less traveled. You've got yourself keeping you company.
Yes.
As you go, as you continue to take one brave step and fall down and cry. I don't, so when I travel around the world, you know, I have my cane, and then my backup for that is to start crying. And then my backup for that is to fall on the floor and start moaning. So I've never had to do 2 or 3. But so, and you can do this over and over again. All of these things are recyclable. And again, it sounds too simple, but it works. So the other thing to do, and this is from Julia Cameron, who's written tons of great books, The Artist's Way. She talks about morning pages. And again, that's a discipline. So every day you get up and you just write 3 pages. And you do whatever. You whine. I just really don't. I think writing is just really stupid, and this isn't doing me any good. And I write the same things every day. And you just write and write. What I have found is if I put the pen to paper and I just start writing, even if there's this crust, if I keep writing, I will break through. And I'll get to yummy. Something yummy. Something, I mean, it just always, I'll get a first line of a song. If as soon as I have a first line, I have a song called Courage to Mourn, and the first line came to me. It's probably not a good idea to tell me you know just how I feel. So as soon as I got my first line, so that's what's in there, that juicy, yummy stuff. So 1, letter from the future. 2, morning pages. You can do both of these. Won't hurt. And then the third thing is something I came up with. It's called 4 questions and a mantra from your angel committee. So and I do all of these things, and depending on the day I'll do different things. But so the first question is, how do I feel? And it's an assessment where you go through your body and you give yourself permission to feel everything. I am discouraged. I am worried about, the other morning I wrote out, I am worried about, and I had a list of about 20 things I was worried about. I'm worried about this, and I'm worried about that, and I'm worried about this, and I'm worried about that, and I'm worried about this. And then finally, once I got through all my worries, other emotions got a chance. I'm feeling excited about that, you know, or whatever. But it's just it's a way to be intelligent about yourself. And a lot of people are not. They do not know how they feel. Or 6 days later, I used to be that way. Now I'm much better at knowing how I feel in the moment. And I'll tell you, that is a handy skill to have.
Oh, yeah.
But again, you got to work at it. There's no magical solution. You have to work at it and have faith. So how do I feel? Question number 1. Number 2, what do I want? And you get to want, I want it to be easy. I want it to be over. I want this person to change and become the person that I thought they always were. I want $100,000 to just magically, I find out somebody's left all their money to me, whatever. You want what you want. That's part of Googling your dreams. Give yourself, and it can be outrageous and selfish and just want. Just give yourself permission. I want. And then when that kind of finishes, then what will bring me joy today? And especially when you're going through something really, really difficult, it's important to have really simple things. A bath, like a bubble bath. When I lost my vision and my job was going away and I was getting a divorce, I bought a teddy bear to sleep with. And I started watching silly movies like Airplane and Naked Gun and a Half, and just silly where I would laugh. So, and I highly recommend Seth. Why can I Seth?
He's one of the newer comedians.
Late Night with Seth. Oh my God, I can't think of his last name. But it's on Netflix and it's Lobby Baby. It is so funny. So human and funny. Seth Meyers, crying out loud. He said, with a name like Seth Meyers, I'm not Jewish, and it's kind of false advertising. That's one of it. So collect things that bring you joy. The smaller, the better. Smells, a little treat of a food. I mean, just pet your dog.
Yeah.
Just it doesn't have to be a trip around the world, which can be very stressful. Trust me. So you're collecting what will bring me joy today. Today, what will bring me joy? And maybe it's binge watching. Whatever it is, just let yourself do it. If it's gonna soothe you a little bit, because when we're going through something and we're in our brainstem and we're afraid, we literally cannot get to the thinking part of our brain. So we have to calm ourselves down. Wrap yourself up in a blankie, suck your thumb if you want. What will bring me joy today? And then the fourth question, and this is the one I've never heard from anybody else anywhere, is how can I avoid adding to my own suffering today?
That's so good.
It's really good, and it's just for today. For today, I'm not gonna open the door to the room that's labeled, I am a terrible mother. I am not gonna entertain any of those thoughts. That door is locked today. I already been there. I know everything that's in there. But today I'm not gonna go there. And mine a lot of times is, today I'm not gonna worry about the rise of fascism all over the world and the death of democracy. Today, I'm not going to worry about that.
Ooh, very good.
Yeah.
I love how much you emphasize the simplicity, because me, it's speaking for myself, I complicate things so much and get into my head. So simplifying the most profound and powerful things to change our life are so simple.
Yep.
And I used to babysit for a woman, and she experienced multiple very close deaths in a short period of time. And the way that she coped was taking it literally 1 minute to the next. You don't have to figure out later tonight. You don't have to figure out tomorrow or next week or next year. Just bite-sized, simple, small things is profound and powerful.
It is. And it's not a magical solution. I just want to emphasize that over again. It's messy.
Yeah.
It's messy and it's real and it's human. And the last part of that 4 questions is the mantra, which you come up with, just a little simple thing to chant during the day. Like, I feel loved. And you just chant that to yourself all down. Or, I have achieved remarkable things. Whatever, and just let it rise to you.
Yeah.
So Lindsay, what I'm hearing from you, the door, today, I'm not gonna overthink things.
Yes.
and then when you catch yourself overthinking, you just smile and go, look at me, aren't I adorable, overthinking that thing again? And you just try to catch it, because you'll never kill it,
Yeah.
But you can catch it and you can laugh. And And then when you see other people doing it, you'll have compassion. It's like, oh, I know what that's like. I overthink things too. Join hands and hum.
I love it.
Yeah. You know, I went to a Tony Robbins seminar years ago, and one of the practices that he does is very similar to what you were just saying. And when we catch ourselves saying something disempowering or that doesn't make us feel well, we reenact it as a clown or a joker, or just say it in a really funny manner to where we're taking that seriousness out of it and bringing it back to the silly and the fun and taking away its power.
Yep.
So very similar. I love that.
Yep.
I just can't get enough. Every week I've talked to her almost every week for a few years now. I get on the phone with Vicki and we do about an hour call, and it's never ending how much I learn. I'm like, what do I do this week? What do I got this week? And she's just full of amazing insight, and it's unique. So if you guys ever want like a coaching call with Vicki, or want to join in the workshop she does, or with us in Odyssey, she'll come together with you, and there's information and insight for you that's just personalized. That Vicki just has this suitcase full of things that keep coming out. Vicki, I'm going to end our video on we need 3 things from you.
Okay.
We've got our challenge, we've got our tips, we know who you are. Now we want you to come up with one word. So someone who watches all 7 videos will get to win a ticket to Odyssey, and you get to make up whatever the word is of today.
Wait, what?
Yep.
I get to make up what word?
Yeah, so our participants who are watching have the opportunity to win a free ticket. Oh, something's talking to us. And all you have to do is come up with one word, and they'll enter that in later to win a ticket. It's just any word that comes to your mind.
Freedom.
That's what I heard in my head. Before you said it, I heard freedom.
Connected.
So weird.
There is magic in the world.
Yeah. I heard freedom. I want you to know I'm wearing right now my Marie Folio Everything is Figure Outable hat. And my, of course, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Boss sweater. Because this is what I've embodied with working with you, is everything's figure outable. It's like you can all figure it out. Where can the world find you? I know there's a million places. You have a million different websites. Where would you like them to go right now? That's the best spot.
Let's do find the funny faster.
Awesome. .com. Awesome.
And
we're going to put in the notes some of your other websites as well, like See Who You're Meant to Be, Outrageous Visions. Right. If you guys want to look at her at Amazon, you can put in her name, and she's got the Find the Funny Faster book, Woman with a Voice, which is a great book, Smart Thoughts for Stupid Moments. These are actual workbooks that you can you can purchase, not just books, that you can start implementing some of these things in your life.
Yep. Give them to your friends.
Any other places?
I have an offer for Odyssey.
Right?
Yes.
You asked me to offer a free session.
Yes.
I want to do more than that.
Wow.
I want to offer a year.
Wow.
Once a month. But the deal is you only get to go from month to month if you take action.
Ooh,
I know.
I know.
Because the thing is, people don't value things that are free. That's just so the way you pay for my support is to take action.
Woo!
You take
Are you
action.
guys hearing this?
I'll stick with you. I will stick. Wow. That's what happened with Sarah.
Wow.
You took action, and so yeah.
And that's 1 year of coaching with you once a month,
an hour long. Yeah. Right, an hour long session. If you do the work, this is huge, guys.
It's month to month. So we'll have the first month, and then we'll decide together what it is that you want to do, and you will make that commitment. And then a month later, and if you get lost in the middle, you can email me and I'll, but the next month, you know, it's about showing up. We have, you know, you remember, didn't I say you have to do it yourself, but you can't do it alone.
Yes, absolutely.
Love that.
So just to recap, this is anybody that might be a participant to Odyssey in Maui. You, by buying a ticket, or yes, by purchasing a ticket to Odyssey, could also be the winner of Vicki once a month coaching. So I think in relation to this, if you do purchase a ticket to come to Maui with us and do the 5-day training called Odyssey, workshop, retreat, play shop, it's just a little bit of all minutes away from the ocean. When you purchase your ticket, just give us an email and say Vicki Hannah Lein, and we'll enter you into winning the coaching session with her. And I'm sure your first one can be on site in Maui with Vicki.
Oh yeah. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, this is
That's
great. I am going to end on what has Odyssey done for you, or what have you seen from the work experienced by being a participant and a support leader of this event?
So you invited me to the Odyssey in Ashland. So it was through you. So that's the connection. So you come to me at community college, you create this nonprofit, you get involved with Odyssey, you invite me to come, and that's where I run into Storybridge, Richard Gere and Storybridge. And that has changed my life, because now I am the community engagement octopus for Storybridge. So I am now doing Storybridge here in Corvallis at the community theater and at the Unitarian Fellowship. And it's just given me a whole bunch more people to play with, because I think I said, you got to do it yourself, but you can't do it alone.
Yeah.
So Odyssey has increased the community of people that I can play with and learn from and grow with. And, you know, my safety net, when I fall, I've got a net that I can fall into, of people who remember who I am when I forget.
Yeah. That's probably the number one thing you hear everybody say. Outside of, there's just so much amazing content that each year you get. It's just a tangible part of your tool belt for the rest of your life. You walk away with forever community. Like when all this stuff started happening in our country, I was like, Odyssey will get it. Like, I can reach out to our team of people who, whether we have different viewpoints, we speak the similar language, where we know we're the captains of our soul and our ship, and we get to write our own story. And this team of people, we're there forever. These are my friends forever. This is my family forever. You go so deep with each other. You're just forever changed. It's just, Odyssey's magical.
It is.
Yeah.
3 more months.
But it's not a magical solution.
Yeah. Oh, Vicki, thank you.
Love to both of you. I can't
So
wait
grateful.
to hug you.
I know. Give you a big hug.
It's such a big deal.
Yay.
It's such a big deal. We're just so blessed to be able to be in this experience together and to help lift the world together and watch what unfolds from this.
I want to say one more thing, and that is, anybody listening to this who has that feeling, I want to go to Odyssey, decide to go, and then the world will help you figure out how to go. That's what Sarah did.
So good.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's like, have you ever taken anybody to Bali with you? No, but I could. And so she decided to go, and then she figured out how to. So, but the decision to go comes first.
Yes. That got mentioned yesterday.
You'll figure it out, and magical things will happen. And but if you feel this call, do it.
Yes,
Do it.
that's really important. We just had a conversation about this yesterday. No matter where you guys are, no matter how you're feeling, you can what, Lindsay?
Do it.
Yeah.
Let the
I love
calling
doing this.
be greater than your fear.
Yeah, you can
Mission
manifest
is bigger than your fear.
Yeah, you can manifest it. And just like Vicki said, when she said, what would you do for anything? I was like, I'm going to go to Bali with this woman. And my voice was like, no way, you can't do that. And I manifested a flight and stay and support thanks to my family. So you can do it too, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing. We offer financial aid.
Yeah.
You can just email us at elsa.org. You're going to see the contact slip, say, hey, I want to go, but I don't have the means. And we're going to work with you. You get financial aid. We have a payment plan for anybody that wants to do payment plan, or volunteer opportunities, or sponsorship, like whatever you can think of. There's just no excuse. We have, there's so many ways you can make this happen. Co-staying with other people in Airbnbs, whatever's holding you back, message us.
Okay, I have to end with this, the chorus of my song. Step up, no more waiting to be good enough. Lean in, you gotta ante up and show your stuff. No excuse. It doesn't matter what has happened to you. And all that remains is stay in the game, and that's the truth.
I forget the lyrics, but I get
I love that. What a great ending.
We love you.
Thank you.
Love you guys too. Thank you. This was really fun. This was
Yeah.
really, really fun. There's
Yeah.
nothing like a conversation.
Yeah.
A real one,
Yeah.
We're going to do another before Odyssey. It's not going to be in the challenge, but everybody stay tuned to our pages because we'll sneak Vicki in again.
Yes,
and
thank you.
answering questions. I love answering questions.
Yeah,
Oh,
Q&A.
awesome.
Yes.
Perfect.
All right, we love you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Vicki.
We'll be in touch
So
soon.
grateful.
Bye.